Hello and welcome back to the Stationary Dev. Today we have a currently inked. If you are a regular subscriber, you've probably noticed I've been absent for uh, a number of months, but just some personal stuff, change of job, all that fun stuff to go through. So, anyways, I'm back now. Should be able to have some more kind of regular content, but anyways, let's get to business. I figured what be a better way to get started back to do a currently inked, and so that's what we have today. All right, so what we're gonna do is I'll just go ahead and spoil one of the pins. Go ahead and get our title out here. So we have currently inked. For today is October. What is today? October 8th, I believe. And it's 2023. I have to get back in the neck of things. So, the past couple months, I've been mainly I've been going for more utilitarian sort of working inks, working man inks and pens. Just because I've been doing kind of a lot of writing, need a lot of just functionality basically. So I've really primarily just used my first two pens that we're going to cover. I guess if you don't count my platinum here that's been dedicated to Bay State Blue, I've been also using that one a little bit. But the first one I've been using is my trusty Pilot Vanishing Point in the matte blue finish. As you can see, it's well used. It's kind of my everyday writer, everyday driver kind of pen. I take it to work with me. I use it for notes. I use it around, for home and all that stuff. So it's well traveled, well worn. You can see some dents, kind of there. So I mean, pens are meant to be used, and so this one's a good one. That's, it's I guess an expensive pen for an everyday pen. $160 or whatever they go for nowadays. But it holds up well. It takes a beating. It can be dropped. It can be, thrown in a bag and just keeps working. So I've definitely got my money's worth out of this pen, and it's still one of my favorites. So we have the Pilot. I'm just going to put VP, Vanishing Point, and the matte blue, and it has a 18 karat fine nib. It's just lovely, smooth, plenty wet. It's actually pretty broad for a Japanese fine. And the ink I have in here, like I said, I've been going for kind of working inks. So something that's dark, easy to read, but also something that's pretty interesting that I like to use. And this is Diamine Oxblood. Probably my favorite red, one of my favorite Diamine inks. It's absolutely beautiful, nice and wet and smooth, and just works great in all pens. I don't know if you can really, I guess, see the color best in the little thing there, but we'll go ahead and do a little swatch. I've used about half of this little Diamine bottle of Oxblood. It's probably my most used Diamine ink between this and Prussian Blue, probably. But yeah, beautiful ink. If you don't have it yet, I would recommend getting it. Even if you have it's very similar to like Writer's Blood, the newer blood ink, I guess you could say. Very similar, but I like this one because it's a little bit more of a truer red. It doesn't have really any or much purple in it. It more leans toward like the brownish side of red, as you can see there. No real sheen or shading too much. It's just a good solid ink through and through. So highly recommend. And this has just been a good wombo combo for work, because it just works, but it's still interesting enough that it's, you know, different and still fun to use, and everything. Some much more similar, or similar in a fashion to the next pen I have, which is my Cross Bailey Light. I believe I did a review on this pen already. And once again, this, before I got the Vanishing Point, this was my daily driver pen that I use literally every day, 6 days a week for probably nearly 2 years. And it's, once again, it's stood up well. It's still a really, really great writer. Snap cap. I didn't show the nib on the Pilot, but there's the nib on the Cross here. Just a stainless steel nib. You can pick these pens up at you know, pretty much any office store. You can order them on Amazon. But great little pen, super smooth, just works. And this is the Cross Bailey Light. I believe, let me check here. I believe, yeah. This is technically an extra fine, but Western sizes. Extra fine steel nib. And it has kind of, like you may have seen, almost have like a posting nib effect there. You can see how it kind of hooks down a little bit, but really nice. And it actually kind of maybe gives it a little bit of bounce for a steel nib, but just really fun pen. Very wet, which we'll see here in a minute. And once again, a good working blue for me, but that's something that's also kind of interesting. And this is Diamine Majestic blue. Once again, really wet blue, dark enough that it's work appropriate or just good for general notes. But the thing with it is it has maybe a little bit of shading, but it has a lot of sheen, as you can already tell in the light there. And we'll see, of course, when we do the swatch, but you can see the sheen on the swatch there. You can see it on the letters. And this is an extra fine pen. It's pretty wet, extra fine, but it's still a great ink that sheens on pretty much everything. By the way, I didn't mention already, but if you've seen my other currently inked videos, you'll know that this is some old stock Tomoe River 62 GSM, or is it 68? 68 or 52? I don't know. 62, I think. GSM paper, and just an old, this is actually a Taroko staple bound notebook that I do all my currently inked pens in. This one is another Diamine ink that I've used a good amount of. This is probably third place in most used Diamine inks. Maybe fourth place, if I count Tobacco Sunburst. There. But super wet. Starts out dark, but it can shade depending on the pen. Can shade to a nice, like, deep mid blue, royal blue color. And you'll see that in that swatch, but the gorgeous coppery sheen. It's not like a red sheening ink like a lot of blues are. It's much more kind of a copper color. Maybe it has a little bit of red in it, but I always see it as more of a coppery sheening blue. Nice and wet, beautiful blue. These next, so those are the two pens that I've basically been using exclusively for the last few months. I just inked up these other two just so I could round out list. I've been meaning to ink up some more pens anyways, now that everything started to kind of settle down again. And so we have, and both of these pens I actually put some extinct inks in. So inks that aren't for sale anymore from, I guess, regular means. So this pen is a Mayora and it is Mayora Impronte, I believe is how you say it. And this is the Tear finish, which I think is just a gorgeous finish. If I hold that up, it has this bright blue that's kind of interspersed with this really earthy reddish brown color. It's a really nice resin. The owner of Mayora is, as you can see, this bears a striking resemblance to another popular pen, the Leonardo Momento Zeros and Zero Grandes. And that's because the owners both used to work together at Delta, I believe. And so they all kind of share that same style. This one is cool. It has a little hidden, it's a converter pin, but it has access to the converter up here. If you're just, refilling the pin and you don't want to go through the hassle of taking the whole thing apart and, all that, you can just dip the pin in and then do that top little thing and just fill some more ink into it. It's a beautiful pen. My wife actually got this for me for my birthday one year, I think. So it's a special pen to me. She picked it out for me. I didn't know, one thing you'll see is how sort of concave this section is. I didn't know how comfortable that would be or if I would like it, but it's actually super comfortable, like surprisingly unrealistically comfortable there. And yeah, just a cartridge converter on the inside, so no need for me to unscrew it there, but really nicely built pen. And this just has a stainless steel, let me see if I can get this up here and get you a shot, just a stainless steel Mayora fine nib in it. But they've really expanded, they have some really good, they've kind of expanded their line since this is an early Mayora pen. And they've done some good things since then. This is the Mayora Impronte. And it is a fine, just steel nib. I told you this was an extinct ink. This one is one of the discontinued Iroshizuku inks. This is Pilot Iroshizuku Tsuyu-Kusa, which didn't get as much, I think, attention or publicity as, one of the ones that was going out. It kind of got overshadowed by Inaho and Tsuyu-Kushi. But it's a beautiful ink in its own right. I really like it. If I were to, I was kind of sad about this one. I was probably the only one that was kind of sad about this one. Don't pay attention to that color down there because that came off of my finger from Oxblood. But it's just a really nice mid blue, lots of shading. It's like a really calming blue for me, which I like the calming blues. I like, like Ackermann Duffsblau. I like even Pelikan 4001 Royal Blue. Just the calming shading, beautiful, relaxing blues. And I only have a sample of this one, so I don't have a full bottle of it, which, like I said, I kind of regret. But I could probably still find a bottle out there, maybe at a slight markup. But I have enough blue inks to where I don't know if I'd seek it out at this point. And there's so many good blues out there, so I might just let this one die as well. But it is super beautiful, underrated Iroshizuku ink, if you're asking me. Good Iroshizuku inks. This one would have probably made my list. Lighter blue, but still nice and wet and has all the properties of an Iroshizuku blue. Great shader though. And has just a hint of sheen on the right papers. I don't know if it's coming out in this one really, but maybe just a slight pinky sheen if you're lucky, if you're writing with a really wet pen. All right, last pen that I inked recently. One I haven't used in a while, but this is my one of my Platinum 3776s. and this is one of their special edition pens, I think, technically. And I don't have, all the platinum special editions. They got kind of expensive, but this is one that you can easily find. Usually it's the Oshino. And it's just a demonstrator pen. It does have the, silver trims. But it's really pretty. And the only really, I guess, special feature about it is it has this sort of, I guess what Twisby would call kind of a diamond effect near the converter. But it's just a really pretty pen. Really functional as well. I mean, it's a platinum, so it's going to be gorgeous nib. This one is in medium, 14 karat nib, silver. Just works great. So we have the platinum, 3776, Century, Oshino, and a 14 karat gold, medium nib. And once again, we have an Extinct ink. This is the one that got all of the, or one of the ones that got all the fuss. Is one of the, I guess, quote-unquote brown inks that got discontinued by Iroshizuku for whatever reason. So this is Parley Iroshizuku Inaho. And this one's a good one. This one's also going to be a sample. I got it right when when there was even a rumor that it could possibly be discontinued. I actually got a sample of each of the discontinued inks. So I got one Tsuyu-Kushi, I got one Inaho, and one Tsuyu-Kusa sample, just to see if there was any of them that I really liked enough to buy a whole bottle. None of them I actually did buy a whole bottle. If I would have, Inaho would actually probably be the last one that I would get, but I actually still really like the color, but I just didn't like it enough to buy a bottle at the time. I might regret that in the future. But I just have the sample here. And I'm kind of okay with letting it die too. It's a shame that they discontinued that out of all the colors. It was one of their most unique colors. They discontinued two brownish colors. That was sad because if you've been watching, you know that I love brown inks. It's probably brown and blue are my two favorite colored inks. So the fact that Iroshizuku, which is one of my favorite kind of ink lines, I guess, is discontinuing some browns, kind of made me sad. But whatever. Maybe they know something I don't. They replaced two browns and a blue for a bunch of neon highlightery inks. I'll just stop there because some people really like those, but for me, they're less usable because they're less readable. They're, I don't know. I like readable inks, things that I can write notes with, things that I can write letters with, and stuff like that. So I like the more readable colors. So there is our currently inked for October. Felt good to get some ink on the paper, at least on the camera for once. So we'll just kind of review. There's the Pilot Vanishing Point and Fine with Diamine Oxblood that's looking gorgeous as ever there. Diamine Majestic Blue, I guess it does have some reddish sheen, but I've always just kind of seen it on the page as more coppery, but now looking at it on Tomoe River, it looks kind of reddish sheen. But Cross Bailey Light, extra fine, super smooth and wet nib, extra fine with Majestic Blue. You can kind of see the shading that it gets into, the lighter colors around the edges, and then that sheen is everywhere in the letters and everything. The Mayora Impronte, which I misspelled, I can just see, so don't give me grief about that. With the Pilot Iroshizuku Tsuyu-Kusa, which, once again, beautiful ink. You can just see a little bit of that pinky sheen coming through, but a great shader, great bright but calming blue. Like it's a, I don't know. I really like that shade. So that makes me sad that it's gone. And then another one that's also sad, a nice readable gold ink, is Inaho in my Platinum 3776 Oshino 14 karat medium nib, and another Discontinued. Hasn't done drying, but it gets kind of, you know, that, I don't know, brassy brown color, and then shades into a more yellowy wheat color. So I think that's a good kind of spread for inks for what I'm using them for at the moment. We're starting to get into some fall weather here in Texas, at least. So I might sort of look for some more browns and more fall colors as well. But who knows? Sometimes I like to go with the season. Sometimes I like to go with what I like. So anyways, appreciate everyone. If you made it this far in the video, appreciate you watching. Hopefully I'll be able to get some more regular content out weekly now. And if you haven't already and you enjoy the videos, please like and subscribe. You can even leave a comment. Let me know what inks you're really rocking right now, which Iroshizuku you're sad that they let go, what's your favorite Diamine ink, anything like that. It really helps out the video, helps keep me going, you know, in terms of just like motivation for getting reviews out. But yeah, so glad to be back. Glad to share these inks and pens with you, and look forward to more. So until next time, take it easy.